Hey guys, what's up? It's Schla coming back to ya with another episode. Car Rides with Schla. And today I have for ya another special episode of Car Rides with Schla. I don't really think it's special. I don't know why I'm interested in jazzing it up like that. But for some reason, that is what's coming to mind right now. So there you go. I'm not too sure. I'm pretty late today, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I don't know. I really wanted to sleep more. I had to get to bed a little bit later than I could have yesterday. And that was just because I had to get something done. And so, yeah. But also in general, I kind of noticed because I was looking at my sleep results zoomed out, and I really haven't been sleeping as well, just in general. I used to actually sleep through the night for the most part, and I'm not. Like, now I think I'm just overdoing it in general. I don't really think there's too many moments during the day where I just relax. I used to have that a lot more because I used to have much more of my time was alone, and yeah, not only was much more of my time alone, but I didn't even work, you know? So I didn't even have to, it was easy to relax. I mean, I still, as a person, it's tricky about me and relaxed. I think maybe I come across more composed than I actually am, but people always assumed I was relaxed. And I definitely can be, but I think when my brain is aware that there's something important that needs to be done, then I don't know, it just dials in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Like I said, I was already pretty exhausted yesterday. I've been feeling pretty exhausted just in general. And so, all that to culminate in today, I'm getting out of bed. Well, I didn't really get out of bed late, but I just didn't get in gear as fast as I could have. Fortunately for me, it probably completely doesn't matter, other than it's going to affect how early I can get out of work. Because obviously, if I get to work later than I should have, then I'm going to be a few minutes off coming home. So that's not really a good situation, but yeah, I don't know. So sorry for the sparse content, but something I was thinking about though, in the theme of what we were talking about yesterday with work obsession, the work obsession and all this that we've been talking about, it's kind of the same thing with this. A lot of times, I'm thinking about how to optimize my show to be perfect, optimize myself to be perfect. But really, the moments of silence, it might not really matter all that much. I think it does. And obviously, ideally, I would like to have no moments of silence, but just kind of how it materializes, how it happens. I don't know. I don't really know what happens. What was I getting at? Yeah, I really need a break. I really need a break day. That's for sure. A solid break day. Break week. 2 week. But yeah, I mean, it applies to this show too. I don't really know. Well, I guess I should still be fixing and tweaking and optimizing though, but a part of that defeats the purpose of what this was supposed to be, which it was supposed to be just kind of realistic, slow content. I think that was kind of the point. Like, obviously could have edits and clips of different things, but not only do I not feel like doing that anyway, so, we'll put on this glossy coating. Yeah, I don't do editing. I don't do clips because of this whole art form I'm trying to do. It's not because I'm lazy and can't do it. Yeah, that's not why. But it is true. I wanted to replicate a conversation. I wanted to give that impression, which, I mean, sometimes my conversations are constant talking, but, in this case, they're not. Well, sometimes there definitely were episodes where I was talking constantly. It's just, like I said recently, I don't know exactly what's changed, but I guess after a while you can't keep being that excited forever about getting on mic. I mean, I still am. I still think my enthusiasm, it's obviously likely above average for somebody who would record this often and for this much alone. I don't think it's super normal. I do an awful lot of recording. So, you know. But I wonder, yeah, because I think the best moments come out of those times when I am very enthused. It's just that as time goes on, it's impossible that would be every single time, especially without another person being in the mix. But the problem is for me, this show, it ends up serving two purposes. At first, it was to get all my speech out because I had so much to say and nobody was listening to me. But then after a while, we kind of have got a lot of what I wanted to talk about out. So it ended up morphing into just kind of whatever I was thinking, feeling, and words would come out, mostly due to boredom. Because again, I would say it wouldn't be forced, but I'm certain even if I wasn't recording, if I was just listening to music on the way to work, I would eventually have thoughts or want to have a dialogue about something at least briefly. So I guess you could make the argument I could just do more selective recording and that would be a bit more coherent. Like I could just chill and listen to music and then just hit start and stop record anytime I want to say something. But I think that's just a different, like I don't like that as much. I like the calmness, I was going to say the calamity, but that is not what that would mean. I mean, I wasn't really going to say it. It's just split second in my head. Oh yeah, calm calamity. The calmness of the relaxation of just having the mic running, it's always running. I think I like that more. I don't really think I'd like to cut and chisel certain things out. Like it's just never what I've wanted to do when I've made videos. I always kind of wanted the whole thing, and I guess it depends on the type of content. If you're really trying to learn, it would probably be beneficial to have stuff edited. But broadly speaking, I almost wonder if editing is all that good of a thing as a whole. Because you think about mostly what editing is doing to our brains, and yeah, it is an improvement. But like I said, for something like entertainment, I don't really think it's good that it's edited because it's just raising the threshold. I'm sure if you held an experiment where you had two humans raised from children or whatever, and one of them only had access to unedited gaming videos on YouTube as an entertainment option, and the other one had access to edited, I still think the one that could only watch unedited gaming videos would probably be fine. They'd probably still be pretty entertained and pretty happy with what they were seeing. I don't really think they would care that much. a lot of the ways old media was structured, it was slower. Sorry, when I say old media, I'm kind of switching topics to like TV and movies, and especially kids shows were typically slower. And all that went out the window when we started to craft what would be the most successful or what would be the most profitable. And that's how people started to look at things as, and that's why now you have certain kids shows that are very fast paced, switch. A plot, B plot, C plot. You know. And like I said, what really is gained from it? You know, yeah, like you have this video that really scratches your itch. It really tickles your fancy, but that doesn't really last for long. You just watch the video and then it's over, but now your expectations are higher and it puts so much more work on creators. I mean, I can imagine it would be a pretty chill time to be a YouTuber back in the days when just a Let's Play was enough. Because that used to be viable. It used to be viable. People would just watch Let's Plays, and they usually weren't edited. And that's just what people would watch. People would watch lots of things that were just more boring. And then now everybody's brain got ultra spoiled by TikTok and by editing, and editing has only become easier and easier. I'm assuming in the future AI will be able to edit videos. I think I've talked about before a concept where YouTube, like your brain chipped and YouTube has a scan of your brain. And so AI working within YouTube could figure out what you want to watch. So it would basically conjure up a feed, I guess sort of like TikTok, but it would be snippets of larger YouTube videos for you to scroll through. And since it would have a whole scan of your brain, it would take what they know about your personality and use that to select which clips you would like. And even with videos like long form videos, they could do that where it skips over the parts you would get bored by, so that when you're watching a video, it's like a continuous long form experience, but again, everything would just get cut out if the algorithm could tell that, oh, they're going to get bored by this section. Because that's probably the next paradigm. I mean, we basically have it down where, you know, the short form content is ideal, but it's still not going to be as good as directly tapped into your brain. What does this brain want to see? Algorithm is a surface level calculation, but it's not really as thorough or as deep as it could be. So I think that's the kind of thing we'll see a lot of in the future. But kind of cycling back to yesterday, how good is this stuff really? I mean, what are we really accomplishing by pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and getting more and more of what we want? And it puts us in such a deep trance, a deeper trance than we ever really would have been able to achieve before, a deeper dissociation than we ever did. And then a spoilage of our pleasure, you know, it spoils our pleasure. It spoils our ability to sit down and just enjoy something, because now in order to be happy, you need your TV show on and TikTok on and a gameplay, and you're watching somebody stream and you're eating a snack. You have to like check all these boxes and optimize, calculate all these different things. This is what life has become. You can't even just relax and just have a relaxed time. It's like we're juggling a million different things, and I think everybody's been afflicted by this, but I'm assuming I'm not as much as other people, but I've still dabbled in it. So it gives me like a decent perspective, but I guess I don't really know the full extent, because my brain has always intrinsically wanted to limit myself. I never really wanted to go too far, and most people obviously never have that. Most people are on the whole novelty thing. I mean, mainly when it pertains to video games. Like, I never really liked new games, and I didn't really understand what the point was, but a lot of people just say they get bored, and so they need a different game to play, or they need a different... It just gets very frustrating. For me, from my perspective, because I remember even when I was a teenager, you know, my friends got me into one game, and then it would feel like just a few months later they're talking about another game. And I was like, well, what? Like, what? Why? What's the problem with this game? I don't know. I just don't understand how people's brains, like, they really don't see much significance to things or have much of a memory or a processing of things. Because I still remember those moments too, when I was telling that to my friends, but I bet those same friends never even think about it. I don't even think they would remember how I objected or how that was odd. I think they probably just moved on to other things. And I guess just in general, I'm not looking to be entertained as much as other people. Specifically when it comes to humor or comedy, I just don't think I've ever like spent that much time finding or trying to find funny videos. It never was something that really interested me too much. And that's obviously a huge thing for a lot of people, is people like to find funny videos and watch them, and it's a very big thing a lot of people gravitate towards. But again, I just don't think that I really have ever felt as drawn to that. I know in general I'm not very drawn to humor, but I think I'm okay with humor, again, when it's coming from a conversation. I just think it gets too crazy when it's a bunch of memes or a bunch of posts, a bunch of people sharing a video with you. Oh, hey, look at this. And then another video. Oh, hey, look at this. Like, no, I just never have wanted any interest in that. I think if you're sharing content with another person, it should be informative. It should be something productive and nothing too loud. Nothing that, like, as that's literally what happens is people send me videos and I'm just like, I basically just ignore them or don't watch them. Like, I don't I don't really want to even see it. Same with images, even. Like, some people send certain images and it's just, you're just not trying to see that. Like, I don't want that in my mind. I would want, again, like I said, things that are informative or things that are educational. And I'm realizing that people have no grasp of that, and they're watching videos left and right all the time. You know? So I think that might be one of the clearest differences between me and most people is I'm not really watching videos. A lot of times when I'm on YouTube, I'm listening to YouTube. And they're obviously longer videos. And I'm listening to YouTube. I'm listening to somebody talk. And I just think that's very different from watching a video, which is what a lot of people have. A lot of people have a different type of stimulation. Now, in terms of visual stimulation, I've talked about before, you know, a lot of it is text. A lot of it is reading, ChatGPT. For me, at least, like, I'm not really dealing with these platforms that are very video centric. And I think that is a huge difference between how other people operate and where other people are at and where I'm at. Like, I just think that's one of the larger differences that I can see. I don't really think I'm all that aware of just how much people pour time into that stuff, and just how much to them it's stuff they would just shrug off, and they're totally entrenched by it, you know? And it makes sense when you get into arguments with people or you see the kind of effort they're putting into things. Well, these people are vessels with no self-control at all. There's not any thought about whether they should do this or that. They're just bored. They need their videos, and that's that. And I think that's something, because I say a lot of times, admittedly, I don't feel like I have that much self-control, but maybe that's because I actually notice it, or that's because I'm aware of it. I've thought about this before too. A lot of times, and I think I've said this, the worst offenders of things aren't the ones who say they do it, right? Maybe that's something that isn't too crazy to some people, but to me, when I was thinking about that recently, that was kind of crazy to me because I just didn't think that far about it. But, you know, if I as a person am going to accept that my willpower is relatively low, or I feel like it's something I would want to improve, it probably, even if it's bad, I'm probably not going to be as bad as the people who probably not going to be as bad as the people who are entirely oblivious to even what autonomy would mean. You know, so you kind of, because you get this impression from people, and it's happened to me a lot with people, where they won't describe themselves. They won't describe themselves. And they leave a lot of things out. They leave a lot out, and then you figure out over time that most people don't really say what their flaw is. And that's something I would do. I think a lot of times when I'm friends with people, I've always kind of said where I'm at, you know, and kind of like, oh, well, I like this or I don't like this. And some people give me some vague answers, but I really think people, they're just going to lie. They're not going to actually tell you what their What do they actually not like? What are their actual issues? They're never going to say that, even though I do. I'm usually pretty transparent with people. I usually try to be pretty vulnerable. And I think what usually ends up happening is that just gets taken advantage of. So now that I've been vulnerable about something with somebody, they just, oh yeah, well, you're terrible here and I'm not. But then the things they're terrible with, it just takes a couple months to figure out. And then you still find out that they also have their flaws. But my flaws are out in it's like I was never trying to hide anything. And I think just going through that, there's a lot of things that a lot of people I've went through like that. And I guess I've learned. But it's still frustrating. It's frustrating that people can't just be more honest. For some people, it's impossible. But in my friendships, I guess that's the difference, is I don't really have an issue with improving or just wanting to be in that kind of way. And I've been fine with friends correcting me, or because it's a part of improvement. Like, I wouldn't want a friend that just lies or sugarcoats everything to me. I wouldn't want that. And so, but then again, I mean, that comes at two things. Now, then the problem is, then I have known people where they don't accept when, so they do something wrong, and then I try to explain to them, and then they get super upset and offended and sensitive about it. So then that's when it starts to be a problem, because I'm just not comfortable with that kind of person, especially since I don't have to be that way. Like, you know what I mean? So it is an equal thing. It's not like I don't want somebody just down my throat all the time. That's not what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I mean, I have my place for improvement, but I also want friendships where it's mutual, where, if I notice something, that they would really value that, not just get very sensitive and offended, and just, I don't know, just the type of behavior that I've seen. It's very alarming. It's very stressful, especially because a lot of times these things happen out of nowhere because people lie. They either lie or they're oblivious to certain things about themselves. I guess I should preface that, because that's a whole other thing. I think people don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. They do a lot of projection, I think, without realizing things. They project a lot. Because I think what happens is people are insulted in a certain way, and then they just take that and then pass it on and then insult other people the way they were insulted. Because I don't even think people think about it that much. I was going to say light luck was perfect. Yeah, because we left pretty late, but we're actually making good time, because we were going to have near perfect light luck. And also, I guess I was driving pretty fast, so I'm kind of surprised, but we're doing pretty well, actually. for how late I was. But yeah, I guess, yeah, actually driving a decent speed and all that stuff matters. So, yeah, I'm not really too sure what this guy behind me was trying to do, but whatever. Like, I was basically, there's a bigger truck was on my left, and I was driving relatively slow so that he could pass. And it almost seemed like this guy behind me was like looking to see if he could squeeze in front of me too, which definitely was not going to be the case. And he was still like really on my side, kind of like trying to scheme that out. I don't know. I think that's kind of funny. Well, it's not funny, but I have to just laugh at these people. I don't understand why people are on about, man. Like, it's just driving, man. It's nothing serious. Well, now that probably is what they might be thinking. Oh man, this clocking thing. Ah, wow. That was on the nose. We really got ripped off today. If it was just a second quicker. Well, what can you do? But yeah, I mean, that's just like a lot of stuff. And I think most people, you just don't even really know each other well enough to get to those moments where I just don't know. All right, well, let's try to get things ready here. It's time for another day. At least tomorrow. Tomorrow should be a short day. Should be. It should be. But yeah, I know we're back to, I was getting used to that early idea, but we're definitely back to make the recording as long as possible because now I have all this equipment. So I'm not going to be quick to end the recording because I hauled all this stuff out and then we don't even have the transcriber anymore. It's all a shame. It's all a shame. It's all a disaster. My precious transcriber, the precious transcriber. Yeah, I'd say that it's been schla and now it's time to buy schla. So, see ya schla.